What's up, people? Got a bit of a different video for you here today. You can probably guess it by watching the intro, but today I'm going to be talking through some of my worst mountain biking crashes. I've had some pretty big spills over the years. I'm going to break them down, and maybe there's some learning there, but if not, it'll just be kind of entertaining, maybe interesting. So let's start with this one. This is in Purgatory for the BME. I believe it was 2021. The top of this track is super wide open, and then you come into here after this open section, and there's this really janky step down jump, and I just go way too deep. It's one of those ones where just the lip and landing aren't exactly matched up with how the angles should be. You really had to go slow and pop because the lip was shallow, the landing was steep, so you really had to like get up and over and dive into the transition. But when I was working up to race pace, I just pushed through the lip and then saw the landing disappear below me. And then you can see I land pretty much completely on the flat bottom. And as I hit, my crank snapped. So I don't think I would have ridden this out anyway, but that definitely didn't help. And luckily, I took up most of the impact on the initial hit. So from then I was kind of just falling on flat ground. I didn't really like come down completely on the flat from 20 feet in the air with like all my force, but it was enough to break a SRAM XO carbon downhill crank. So it was no joke, and somehow came out of this pretty okay. But to this day, that's a super sketchy feature. At this race, I had my friend snap his bike by doing the exact same thing. It's caught more than just myself out, that's for sure. All right, second clip. This is on Dirt Merchant in Whistler. And kind of my move was manualing off the first drop, and this time it just bit me. This is from an Instagram clip, so you got that Mike Tyson interview, because I did end up breaking a bone in my back. But this one is all on me. Basically, it's worst case scenario when you are manualing off of a drop is dropping your front wheel right at the point where the drop fades away, and then it just catapults me into a front flip right to my back, and that's like concrete right there. But this is a very good learning lesson for everyone out there, because I had been doing this move like every lap. Like this is probably the 20th, 25th time I had been manualing off this drop. This is just like a one and done type of move. Like you manual off the drop once and you survive it, you get the clip, and then you move on. This is not an every lap sort of maneuver, because eventually you're going to come up snake eyes and something like this is going to happen. This is a clip of me actually nailing it. So this is the only time I should have ever done it. Boom. That's the clip. But you do see here that it kind of goes from a downslope to flat. So like it is kind of a compression going off this lip. And that's what caught me out. I didn't hold the bike through the compression, and the front end dropped and put me into the front flip. So that one sucked. I actually had to go down to Vancouver, get an ambulance ride. And luckily, I mean, as far as back brakes go, that's probably the mellowest type of back brake. It was just a transverse processy. Moving on, another iconic, or I don't know, iconic is maybe stretching it, but you've definitely seen this one on Fails Fridays. Like it's been on there like 4 or 5 times. Pink Bike can't get enough of it, but this is Schayer Rock Garden Gap. So if you know Schayer Rock Garden, you know this gap. Oh, it's freaking horrible to watch. So I came to Whistler this year having watched all the Remy Metallier videos, and there was a Fat Wednesday going on. So I felt compelled to absolutely send myself for this gap. And it's like a lily pad to sketchy rock takeoff, and then you are supposed to gap all the way down to this rock slab. And then I just got bucked so bad off that lip. And luckily I downside the landing where I'm supposed to be with my bike, with my body, and somehow like baseball slide my way out of this. And I clip my knee, absolutely explode my knee pad, and get out of this with like a really, really swollen knee that took like a couple weeks to figure itself out. But other than that, I came out of this fine. And the one thing that really kind of is the X factor in this crash is this girl that's standing on the lip. A bunch of people were sessioning this, but you can see here, I'm like inches away from this girl. So, and my mistake is I think I was a little bit too far right on this lip. I did hit this one time before and I got the gap, but it was like really sketchy and I hit it too slow. So I kind of cased it. So I came into this like pretty full speed. And I think the combination of me being a little bit too far right and going way faster just sent me into a catapult and I had no chance. And there was no reason for me to be doing that. It was a Fat Wednesday. Like this was back in the day when I thought that like doing this gap was going to be the difference between me like winning the race and not. I think as a junior, as like a 19-year-old, more or less a junior, it's kind of hard to comprehend that because you just think you're fast and it's like, oh, they must be like doing some crazy gaps to go faster. And it's kind of not the case. I think Chris Kavarik beat me by 15 seconds and he beat me because he's just a much better bike rider, not because he's doing some crazy death gap. All right, moving on. This is Kellogg, Idaho, Silver Mountain Resort. And me and my friend Nick Doman did a big trip up here. And I just get absolutely ejected out the front door. Big front flip. Nick backs it up with a big slam himself. This one was weird. I was riding really good. Or at least feeling like I was riding good during this whole shoot. So this one completely surprised me, but I basically just came into this compression too fast. And it's a timing thing where you see my fork compresses and then it doesn't really get a chance to decompress. On the lip, it kind of just pushes through it and then it's rebounding in the air. And then my rear just, I think, completely bottoms out in that same compression. So all of a sudden I'm going into a front flip and I had no choice but to bail here and luckily found a soft bank with my shoulder and kind of front flipped out of it. Usually I don't do well with these crashes. I'm the type of rider to hold on to the deer end and ride the thing into the ground, which is probably why I've hit my head so much. But I kind of had no option to bail, but to bail here and got out of that pretty clean, pointed to the camera. Oh man, Nick got absolutely bodied there too. But I think that's all I had for you guys today. Let's see. Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Sorry. This is the grand finale. This one's pretty bad. So this is Freight Train, I believe 2017. It's before they put the changes in. But if you remember, if you've been there, there's this gap. And oh my gosh, that went so bad. This is either before or not far after the Schayer Rock Garden gap. And this is another Remy gap that I really wanted to check off the list. And I was feeling good for it. You basically just haul ass and then quad this whole thing. But turns out when you're going like 40 feet instead of 10, it really matters what direction you're going off the lip. And I was just a little too far left. And in the air, I see that I'm landing straight onto rocks. And I let out a really horrible scream because I think I'm going to die. I do land directly on the rocks. There's a frame here. Sorry, this is really low quality, but it's like my forks are completely bottomed out. My wheels are on these rocks and like my visor's on the top tube. Somehow make it out of that, get bucked. And I almost ride this thing out. Like I was not that far from riding this out. And I like skipped down the landing after bouncing off this rock and again, kind of roll onto my shoulders and get out of this clean somehow. I guess the lesson there is the direction matters a lot more if you're going farther. But it was hard because it was completely blind, like going over to that second landing. So yeah, it was just tough to judge. And I was just completely focused on having the speed for it, which I do think I had. Like I would have maybe tagged it a little bit, but yeah, I think I would have cleared. I honestly felt fine after this, and I kind of regret not going up and just doing it again that day, because the next time I went back, they changed the section. This was literally like the last few days before they put in new freight train, and now that jump is just a big table, kind of how it should be instead of two short ones. So again, lucky to get out of that one alive. I mean, this is when I was 18 or 19, um, full send days. The part of my brain where I was processing consequences really wasn't fully developed yet. And I think, yeah, that kind of started to happen after a bunch of these close calls. Well, that's about it for today. Hopefully that was informative or entertaining. And hopefully this is the last video I'm inclined to make about me crashing. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.